Hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here, checking in on this August 12th, 2020, Wednesday evening. It is about 8:17 p.m. here, West Coast time. And taking a look at the Earthquake 3D globe, shows the latest earthquake up here on the map as a 4.1, kind of out there in the subduction zone area, just south of the Alaska landmass out there. Prior to that 4.1 there, we've seen a kind of an odd earthquake out here, 4.0 in the Canada region. You can see that specifically there on the map. So a little bit of interesting activity occurring well inland away from the plate boundary, and also right there along the subduction zone of the plate boundary off the coast of Alaska there. A little bit different view we'll take a look at. And well, we'll get back to this here in just a second. There's some activity to talk about there along the new Madrid fault system as well. But shooting up here to, I think that was a ghost. Okay, that was kind of strange. Some stuff just moved around in the room here. I'm sure you guys heard it too. Some activity up here in Canada. As you can see, these red circles indicating recent earthquakes, and these basically took place within the last 10 to 15 minutes or so. About 20 minutes or so. The latest one's going to be this one off the Gulf here of Alaska, in this specific little fault area. But these odd inland, well away from the plate boundaries, are kind of what's unusual. You know, you see these pop up once in a while, and you may not blink an eye, but when you see a couple of them pop up, you start to wonder what's going on here. So we had a 4.0 strike up there in the Northwest Territories of Canada. But prior to that, there was a little 2.8 striking well to the east, about 250 miles or so, well to that east in the Northwest Territories of Canada, but a little bit smaller, 2.8. So we had these two quakes inland, and now all of a sudden we have the latest earthquake off here on the Gulf of Alaska, 4.1. Not major quakes, folks, but some odd activity is what I'm saying. This is something to kind of, scratch your head about, I guess, a little bit. Because it's just kind of strange to see that much earthquake activity inland all of a sudden. So definitely paying attention there, and also out here along the Japan area. You can see a lot of red circles on the map here indicating earthquake activity within the last hour. We'll get to the West Coast, California, and also the Midwest, and the new Madrid fault system over there in just a second. The Japan region seeing quite a bit of 4 magnitude earthquake hit here within the last couple hours. You can see it spreading out down here, 5.0, and some more 4s here near Japan, a little bit closer there. The latest earthquake, 4.6 there, just off the coast of Tokyo, or Japan there. I'm sure quite a few folks may have felt it there within the region. So it's kind of following this little line here, if you will, this little the Japan Trench, the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? There's that name. There's that little scary word again, Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay, well, it's pretty active this evening on the northwest corner over here, and also up here towards the Gulf of Alaska. So some major activity, movement going on as we speak. The potential for a larger earthquake is looming, I believe, pretty soon. And that's a fact. Pretty quiet down here along the Solomon Islands, Samoa, and the Fiji area. This is indeed the all magnitude earthquakes here from the USGS over the last 24 hours. So very quiet. Not saying there isn't anything in this area. There definitely is, but with the threshold that the USGS puts out here, it's I believe 4.0. Anything 4.0 internationally will show up on the map. So I'm sure there's earthquake activity showing up here, happening, but nothing above 4.0. But it's very visible up here to the north and to the northwest over here towards Tokyo and Japan region. Even over here towards the Philippines, we're seeing a little bit of increase in earthquake activity. 5.5 there, looks like southwest of Basco, Philippines. Hawaii showing a little bit of activity as well. Nothing major. A little bit of swarming out there along the southeastern, southeastern part of the island. You can see that right there. Kind of inland and whatnot. No major swarming. There's about 12 earthquakes or so. But keep an eye on it. That can change pretty rapidly. We can see this thing increase in numbers drastically. Shooting out here towards the Midwest, Oklahoma, Kansas region just had a little bit of earthquake activity out there within the past hour. 2.6 near Freeport, Kansas, and some little earthquake activity out there in northwestern and northern Oklahoma. Out there in Greensboro, North Carolina region, where we've seen some interesting activity. Kind of mellow, if you will. I would assume these are still some aftershocks following the earthquake there a few days ago. 2.2 and also a 1.4. The activity out here in the New Madrid fault system is kind of interesting here. Now there's no major quakes taking place at this moment, but there was 2.1, 1.6, and a 1.8. These earthquakes striking various depths there. You can see all the way down from about 7.7 kilometers up to 1.6 kilometers, which is still kind of a interesting scenario. I want to show you guys the U.S. hazard map, and this activity takes place right smack dab in the New Madrid fault system. So when I say the New Madrid fault system, that's where it's at, right there in this little brown, the dark, well, at least on my end, it's kind of a dark brown color. That is the highest possible hazard that you can have here, and that's where this earthquake activity is taking place here. So just, be on guard with all the activity happening in the east, North Carolina. It's just crazy. All the swarming going on in California recently. And, looking over the past few months or so, the weird earthquake activity in Idaho, earthquake activity near Reno and down into southern Nevada. Just a lot of strange and unusual earthquake activity taking place. It's just always good to be on guard, especially now. With some strange quakes happening well up here into Canada and also in the Gulf of Alaska. Just a lot of unusual movement, if you will, along the plate boundaries out here. Well, I wouldn't say plate boundaries, right? Because this activity is way, way away from any major plate boundaries. You got the old North American craton, which is not listed. It's not really drawn out on the map here, on the USGS map. But it's there. It's I don't want to get into that because it's kind of a long, drawn-out issue. But the North American craton has been discussed quite a bit in past update videos. So check those out if you want, or you can type into Google North American craton. It's pretty much a relatively stable land, part of the land mass that has not, really moved all that much, if you will. Far as plate tectonics go, pretty stable area, if you will, here along the North American continent. So a lot of activity happening around it, and definitely outside of it. So just something to watch, folks. Let's move into California real quick here. Let's see what's going on here. The swarming down in the Salton Sea region of Southern California. It's still there. I mean, we haven't seen an increase. We've definitely seen a decrease in the swarming multitude of quakes there. No new migration. Earlier, we did happen to see a little migration down here. Little sporadic quakes there of just north of Brawley. And that has since declined. But there's still some activity. Activity is in the decline position right now, but it could always change. You can't just assume that just because we haven't seen any, 10 or 20 quakes within an hour, within the past day, that it's stopped completely. It's something to watch. It's definitely something to not forget about anytime soon. A little bit of earthquake activity well northwest of the region here. So activity in SoCal still kind of happening a little bit, dying down. And I do want to show you a post here from the USGS Geological Survey, right? The USGS, everyone knows them. A lot of people don't like them, but you know what? Without them, we wouldn't have all these the equipment that's running. We wouldn't know a whole lot about what's going on out there. So, you know, I'm not going to bash those guys one bit. This is their latest updated Facebook status post, if you will. And they mentioned update earthquake swarm forecast for the Salton Sea. Swarm is quieting down, and probability of larger nearby earthquakes are decreasing. However, we are still monitoring and will update website forecast daily while the swarm persists. So, even though it's dying down, folks, it's still something to monitor. Definitely something to monitor. Up here along the Ridgecrest area, we're kind of seeing a little bit of an increase in earthquake activity, and also to the north of the Garlock fault system here, which runs at a kind of a weird angle. It's kind of like a shear fault, if you will, different than these northwest to southeast type fault structures. This one runs kind of to the southwest, up to the northeast. I think I got that right in that general direction there. But nothing on the Garlock fault except for this little bitty one. But a lot of activity well to the north here in these in the mountain ranges there of the Sierra Nevada mountains there. Nevada showing some recent earthquake activity here. A couple red circles there indicating most recent quakes. You can see that fault rupture there. It's been there's been a lot of earthquakes there, folks, over the past couple months there. This is the area where I took a trip out to. Keep mentioning that because it's I can't believe it's still continuing out there. It's pretty crazy. Still a lot of earthquake activity, aftershock activity occurring in that region, and you can specifically see the fault rupture in the linear fashion there in Nevada. And let's see what else we got to cover here, folks. Yellowstone. Let's take a look at Yellowstone. A couple folks mentioned. I've seen the comments, folks. I don't necessarily respond to every comment out there, but I try to read every comment, whether it's negative or positive. I do appreciate the comments, and I do read them. Certain comments had me laughing, like the toilet sound in the background, you know, when my microphone was on in past updates, and that was because of my air conditioner and also my compression level on the microphone. The microphone's pretty much a high-tech professional mic that I've been using for quite a few years here, and so I turned the air conditioner off. I have no fans running except for the fan for the computer, and no compression level set on the microphone. So you'll hear the difference. Unfortunately, you might hear the difference from me yelling to me talking a little bit quietly. So that's the only downside, but you shouldn't hear any toilet effect. But that comment had me laughing pretty bad. I'm not even joking. That was it was pretty funny. Yellowstone, though, I did see a couple comments on Yellowstone saying that Yellowstone is not quiet, that there's some strange stuff going on. Okay, I looked at the gas levels, I looked at the CO2 levels and GPS levels, and I did not see anything drastic happening at Yellowstone National Park here. Currently, there is no earthquake swarm. If you go over here to the northwest corner of the park, there was some small microquakes. This is near Madison, in the northwest corner of the park there. This here is wind-related events, and it's different than the activity that we talked about in the past video of what's, you know, some strange signals going on at Yellowstone National Park. Wind-related events here in the northwest corner here. So, and this activity towards the east there, that just looks like it's hard to figure out what's going on here. It could be some technical interference with the seismograph stations there, but as far as any earthquake swarms, any major earthquakes, any lava flow, any magma movement, non-observant here in the park as we speak, folks. So pretty mellow, and I'm going to say it again, pretty mellow. So nothing to be concerned about in that area, and that's 100% facts here. Tremor map looking pretty obsolete, folks. There's no tremor at all. Let's go ahead and refresh that to get the latest updated map there from the PNSN website. You can see 8/12/2020. No earthquakes. You have to go back to yesterday and search to see the latest tremor map. So activity kind of quieting down, and I believe that does play a role in the act. Even though, okay, I do believe this plays a role somewhat in the activity that we're seeing down in Southern California, because if you go back into last week or so, I'm not going to do that, but there was quite a bit of earthquake, or not earthquake activity, but tremor activity happening all the way up here to Vancouver, Washington, Oregon, and then Northern California. You've seen a whole bunch of slow slip tremor being detected up here, and that was the height of the swarming activity that was taking place here in Southern California. Now that it's died down in the tremor department, the activity down south in Southern California has died down. I believe a lot of there's a lot of relation in between the plates out here, far as pressure, movement, and general action goes. It's they play a part in one of another. Even though Cascadia subduction zone ends pretty much right up here in the northern part of Northern California, I believe it does play a part in activity elsewhere. That's a given. So anyway, folks, jump off here for a little bit. Hopefully, the toilet noise was non-existent in this video. There's 2.9 striking off the Aleutian Islands area. So activity up here, folks, kind of picking up. It's, if you look at the earthquake 3D globe, you can see specifically Canada, Alaska, all through the Aleutian Islands and over into Japan. A lot of movement along the northern part of this Pacific plate here, and it's kind of unusual. A lot of times we see a lot of movement here, continuous on the northwest corner and all through the Fiji Islands area, while the west or the east over here remains quiet. But now we're seeing just specifically the north part being a major player tonight in movement along the plates up here. So just be on guard, folks. Stay safe. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and that earthquake out there, 6.0, Tasmania, happened earlier. I did mention that during the live stream, but another strange, odd quake out there. So just a lot of unusual movement out here along the globe. So be prepared, folks. Have a good night. Stay safe, and we'll chat you guys another time.